is really probably not LinkedIn. I can't speak to 100% on the privacy side, but you know what? YouTube at some capacity, I think, is still a better medium to kind of go with, in my opinion, anyway.
So there's the endorsement right there. Listen,
go with
before
that.
we get into it, I know you want to talk a lot of stuff about Galaxy and some other things
Yeah,
going on
lots
here
of
too.
good things.
But I want to do a follow-up on the segment we did a couple of weeks ago here about you and your drone.
Yeah.
Because this is high-level stuff.
It is.
You know, people, hey, aren't those things neat? I'd like to get one of those.
Yeah.
You have to get a license to operate one of these things.
Well,
you've gone through the process.
I went through the process.
Walk through this one.
Okay, so we know that as of June 1st, Transport Canada took over drone licensing.
Yeah.
We talked about the issues of drones have caused problems. They shut down airports in London and otherwise.
It's happened in Ireland again this week, Dublin Airport.
Right. So, you know, it is a problem. I'm not going to dispute the fact of these need to be addressed and they need to be controlled. And you know what? And Transport Canada took a lead on this, and good for them. But as of June 1st, new laws are going to be coming in where you now have to have a certificate to be able to be allowed to be on or to fly one of these drones, 250 kilograms up to 1 kilo. That's a pretty heavy drone. My gorgeous wife for Christmas got me a drone. I'm all excited. I'm ready to fly it. And I realize I'm not going to be able to do this after June 1st without a license. So years ago, I actually went for my fixed wing pilot's license, only in class. I only got in about 5 or 6 classes, and it was quite intense, wind speeds and so forth. Well, Transport Canada, this was not a simple test. This was actually a full-on, it took me 4.5 hours, and thank goodness I had the other training in advance, because there were questions about what was the wind speeds. And so if you're going for your drone license or you're getting your drone license, be prepared. You're going to get a rotary wing certificate, pilot certificate. So I'm 2 steps away from getting a fully licensed helicopter license. I mean, I'm hours away. I think it's 46 hours, but I'll be able to probably, the next step is to be able to get my rotary wing pilot license. So right now, yours truly live on Techtalk, I have a Transport Canada pilot certificate that lets me fly under the guidance. It's like a beginner's. It's like a G2 driver's license. Yeah. I have the exact same thing for a pilot's license. Is a beginner's license.
So like all those movies, where something happens with the pilot and it says, "Is there anybody here that can fly this thing?" You're that guy now.
If it's fixed wing, I'm done. I can be no use to you. But if we're in a helicopter and we're flying, I actually could probably help get the yaw under control and be able to get this descended safely to a certain degree. Yes, I could.
Way to go. So good to know. Put that on the CV.
I'll be taking this, by the way, and think about this. The future of tech, speaking to this, as we've discussed, I am already on the steps, and people maybe want to think about that. To fly the future vehicles, you're going to need one of these licenses. So I may be that guy flying from Hamilton to Toronto in a drone, the up version of the Christian Grey model. But yes, that will be me.
All right. So there you go. The Uber in the air. That's what's going to be out of it in the not too distant future. Let's talk about the S10. I know this is one of your favorite topics.
It is. Yes. We're going to be giving Samsung some love today, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm pretty excited about it because of the fact Samsung made some amazing announcements, similar to what we see with Apple. But what I really wanted to share is the one that I don't think was getting a lot of attention, the S10. It's got some cool features, great functions. It's got a very powerful battery, 4,000 milliamps, which means that you're going to be getting a good solid day out of it based on how bright your LEDs and so forth. But some of the bells and whistles made me kind of laugh a little bit. So it's got a great camera, and that competes with Huawei. So we have an option that's not Chinese. You can now charge another phone by simply putting the phone up against the other. I thought that was kind of hokey, because it's kind of like, let me drain my battery so we can both have just a little bit of battery. That's kind of hokey, but the power buds I thought were neat. And that was one of the things Samsung was going with, is the fact that you can now run very much like AirPods on Apple, but you can charge them with the back of your phone. So the phone becomes a little magnetic generator that is able to power sources of which you be able to utilize from like AirPods, another phone. It could charge up a keyboard, a mouse, as we're getting into this wireless technology thing. The element that and I'm no scientist, and maybe we could go to McMaster and speak to smarter people than me. I'm thinking this thing's giving off a magnetic pulse to charge devices. I don't know, call me weird, but I'm thinking like my brain is not metallically capable of blocking these rays. It just makes me kind of think, are these things safe health-wise? I don't know. I hope to come back on Techtalk and give some features on that. But the element of all of these cool things that it does is pretty neat, and it's fast. It's got a great, I think the quality of the lens is amazing. It's Samsung. And to go from the S10, the big news, the one I'm really excited about is what they finally announced was the Galaxy F. We spoke about it. It was coming. It's official. What's official about it is that it will fold from a 5-inch, which is a small iPhone, if you remember, into a 7-inch tablet. What's really cool is that it's very seamless. It's using Samsung's folding technology they announced a few years back on their TVs. So now you can take your little tiny phone, unfold it into a 7-inch tablet, and it has up to 3 multi-screens. You can run 3 different programs at the same time. That's like pretty amazing when you think about it. So if you're looking at a map and you go, I need to expand that, you can unfold it. Now you got a map, you can put your email into it. Of course, all of these amazing features come with the low price of a Canadian cost of $2,600. $2,600
for a phone.
For a phone. I mean, a tablet phone. So I guess they're kind of saying, well, if you spent $1,000 on a tablet and $800 on a phone, you're kind of paying the same price, right? I just think this is getting way out of whack right now. $2,600 for your next smartphone. That's a little rich.
All right, listen, so we're on the topic of Samsung. What's going on with Bixby?
Well, I think we speak about all of these concerns of voice activations from Google Home and Siri. This one makes me laugh. Bixby still exists. And I'm sure many people are going, what's a Bixby? I think I've heard Techtalk mention it once before. Bixby is the voice automation that Samsung uses.
Cousin of Alexa.
I would say it's the babysitter of the cousin next door in the basement that you heard about that had a little bit of a weird feel to it. It's one of those awkward things that Samsung forces onto users that have the phone. And it's their version of a Siri, except you're right, it's a cousin that's smarter. 4% of the total smartphone market with Samsung uses Bixby. And that you may think that's not bad, but it's very, very small compared to like Amazon and Google, which work on Samsung, by the way. So why is this important? Why would anyone care? Samsung is making all of their smart devices, their washing machines, their dryers, their fridges, all of the appliances are all going to be integrated with Bixby, followed with, and this one I think is way too late, and I think it's a dead in the water. They're coming out with their own speaker system, their own Bixby Samsung home speaker that you'll be able to, like Google Home and Alexa, be able to use to interact and connect with all of your smart devices. I think this is just I don't even know why I'm even talking about it, other than the fact that if you're buying a Samsung, you're going to be forced to be talking to a computer system.
Well, you're going to get the sales pitch.
You're going to get it by default. Yes.
Congratulations, Mr. Oldfield. Here's your phone. By the way.
Yes, you're using Bixby and I've tried to use Bixby. I really did give it a chance. I forced myself to say, I will give you, Samsung, all of Adam's technological input. And Adam gave up on it after about an hour. That Bixby, go fly a kite. I'm done with you. Or go fly a drone. I can't handle this.
I know what I want to ask you about. I saw the story earlier this week.
Yeah.
As somebody who's had 2 knee replacements already, Hamilton kind of made history, or at least Canadian history.
Canadian history, yeah. This is massively huge news. Is that our own town, McMaster had a first knee surgery performed by a robotic operation. Why that's
which didn't surprise me to a certain extent because that robotic surgical arm was actually developed in Hamilton years ago, and of course it's worldwide right now. But that was right down the street here.
So I think we don't give Hamilton or Canada, for that matter, enough credit when we talk about technology. I mean, all these companies and tech and everything else, they seem to be in other countries other than our own. So this one is a milestone from a medical achievement. And what makes it so unique, and this is the part I wanted to talk about, is not necessarily what it was, but why technology is important in the medical surgical rooms, is the fact that it's got a slim, and when I say slim, less than 1% margin of error on repairs. Less than 1%. So all of a sudden we're watching and it's important. As you described, many knee surgeries, it's a bit of a fine art, but it could be done incorrectly. And then you deal with pain or you have to go back. This is going to, I would say, alleviate the return patient. The healing process will be quicker. And the fact that we're letting a computer and our robotic arm be able to help with our surgical procedures, improve the injuries and otherwise that we're feeling, I think is we're already one step ahead of being where Terminator is going to be able to be our own for the survival of humans in the future. This is one step of how we can perfect surgical operations.
Well, and it's the next, I guess, the genesis of the next step rather that's happening here, because I mean, last time I had mine done, I think I was in the hospital for 4 days, 5 days, something
right?
Like that. Because there's always a risk of infection, and like you say, I mean, it's that you get nicked or something, whatever the case might be. Now, knee replacements, as extensive as it is, I mean, it's major surgery, is day surgery. And this is one of the reasons why.
Yeah, they can.
You're in and out.
Yeah, the speed, the efficiencies, and the healing time is so. Just the cost of repair and time and loss of work and energy is so huge. So kudos to our group right here in Hamilton, Ontario. Congratulations! I think it's fantastic, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the next steps are going to be.
Okay, what's going on with Google?
Well, Google's got lots of issues, and the one that's sort of been hinted is Nest. They actually bought Nest a few years ago, more like 5 years ago. And Nest is a thermostat system that is more of a smart device. Well, I guess Google never said it wasn't existing, and they never declared that it was a secret. But they are now under scrutiny in the Senate for not advising publicly that their products came with a microphone. And now, of course, we talk about Google listening on our phones. We talk about how Google's integrated in all of our smart devices, and Google Home was tuning into all of conversations. This is a bit of I'm going to say a sensitive issue, because Google's already got a lot of heated pressure right now with what are they doing and how are they giving permissions of listening and overhearing. Google claims that the Nest thermostat, the smart thermostat, is set up with a microphone. Yes, they didn't say it, but if you go into the options, you can turn it on. So it wasn't advertised in the box. It was never featured in all their specs. But when you did buy it and go into your options settings on it, you were able to see turn microphone on. So it's one of those, was it really hidden? It wasn't like it was there and nobody was going, wait a minute, it's been there all this time. They just forgot to tell us the features existed. Google made it clear that it was never turned on by default. It was there for the long-term development with the ability to integrate it with other devices, such as you bought a Google Home device, you would maybe want to integrate it with your thermostat.
Sure.
You would then allow the two systems to be able to connect with each other, or be able to have your Nest or the thermostat within listening earshot to connect, so you don't have to have multiple Google Homes everywhere.
All right, so let me get this straight now. The microphone is in the unit.
Yes, correct.
It's not turned on?
Correct. It's not turned on. So it defaults with the microphone is off.
Okay.
The issue is nowhere on the box, if you bought a Nest thermostat, does it say, okay, well then in there, if you look at the packaging.
Look at the box this afternoon. I never who reads that stuff?
Nobody reads it. Nobody pays attention if you're listening to me while I'm hooking up to my device. But yes, technically on the box and all the specs, even online, it never declares has a microphone that is capable of listening and integrated with Google. So they're just basically, it's not misinformation, it's just not told information. And that's what Google's saying. We never meant it to be a secret. It was always there. And if you go into the settings, it says turn on microphone. So, it's one of those, we should have been told, Google. So that's what they're getting a lot of heat for.
All right. We got a few minutes left here. What's going on with AI?
Well, right now, artificial intelligence is capable of generating a lot of cool things. And we've seen that over the years with regards to thinking how our habits are. We've seen it, how it creates potentially solutions to problems before they exist. So maybe you got a habit, maybe, like you use your phone a certain way. Artificial intelligence is taking on a whole new light. And the engineers from Uber actually generate, and this is, by the way, anyone can go online and be able to do this. And I thought this was really kind of cool for two reasons. One, it's scary. The second reason is that it's a fact of where if you need to create a false identity, this could actually create one for you. So it's a website that actually will create through millions and millions of photos. Apparently there's trillions online, Bill. I didn't realize there were so many photos online. It takes elements of features of humans in photos, whether it's a movie star, could be a photo you uploaded, and it will automatically generate a fake person. And when you go to this, when you go to the website, you'll be able to see how it quickly it's called generative adversarial network. And this Uber engineer created this amazing little website. You can go online, you'll be able to generate this feature, and it's scary because these people don't exist, but this artificial intelligence has the ability to create and it's using DNA of types of eyes, nose size, mouth, features of your ears. Some look a little hokey, I'm not going to lie, but all of them seem quite realistic.
I want to get into, you talked about autonomous vehicles an awful lot over the last little while. Tesla, and of course, they're happening. I ran across a rather interesting piece here about how that's impacting the auto insurance business, which is a sore point for almost everybody, right?
This is starting in the U.S., and the reason I'm bringing this up is because it would not surprise me if Ontario jumps on this concern right away. We've seen more and more advancements. We talked about we're now at level 3 now in the autonomous driving. Ontario has now approved. Well, one of the factors that is going to really impact the economic industry is the insurance industry. So BlackBerry, as we also know, got $40 million to do investments on QNX, and they're going to be investing in autonomous driving smart vehicles. In the next 5 years, Bill, we will be seeing cars, as we know, talking to each other. And when they're talking as you're driving, they become little, think of them as little wireless ports speaking to each other on the road. So the car in front, the car beside, the car behind. They're constantly talking. They're going to be integrated with the, whether it's a GM, an Audi, a Mercedes, they're all going to be running on the same base platform of safety autonomous driving. That's the one universal thing. The insurance industry, rightfully so, is starting to see in 10 years from now, if all these cars are talking to each other, if the car that's driving down the highway at 120, claiming that's going to be the speed on the 401, at 120, and there's a whole series of cars moving at the same pace of that, but up ahead 10 kilometers, an accident happens. That accident will then trigger a notice to all the cars behind it. Vehicles slow down. Vehicles are slowed down. Vehicles are stopped. You have 6 kilometers. Every vehicle around that will now instantly know how to react, slow down, and not get into a multiple car. A multiple car accident is going to be a thing we will be joking about 10 years on the radio. We'll be like, do you remember when there used to be multi-car accidents? That is going to be a thing of the past. Insurance companies are already in the United States seeing this, and they just claimed that if you're driving a Tesla Model X, which has a lot of smart features, autonomous driving, your insurance for a year, even if you've got over the age of 25, you're married with a clean driving record, $10,000 is the starting for your insurance in California. And this is not something that's isolated to this area. It will eventually start to kick in, and all the insurance companies are going to go, wait a minute, if there's no accidents, where do we exist? How do we justify operation? Anyway, it's something to factor, and we need to be aware of that. Great for technology, but is insurance even going to be needed is going to be the bigger question.
Well, yeah, that may be the grander question. We'll get into that next time we're around here. Thanks so much, Adam Oldfield. We do this every Friday, 11:30. Tech Talk, brought to you by Hamilton Limousine. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Bill.